and methodology.
Okay, hello. I hope you're very well. Thank you for the invitation. And I'm going to continue with the presentation, but give me just a second to introduce. The research question of our study is, how do university students perceive gamification as a tool to develop academic writing skills in ELT? This is the question that actually guided our study, right? In order to, I would say that, not to answer the question, but this question emerged from my colleagues' experience, right, as a teacher, from my experience as well, and also from the literature review, right? So I'm going to present the literature review. Let me see. I'm not good at games, sorry. Okay, you know that there is overwhelming evidence that gamification has a big impact on language learning, right? For example, we can see here that in a classroom where gamification is taking place, the students have more opportunities to develop their cognitive skills. This is something very important for us teachers of English and students of English as well, because in that way we can learn vocabulary more effectively. Another important reason to use gamification in the classroom is that it promotes problem-solving skills and collaborative learning, especially when they have to solve a problem, they work together in order to solve that problem, right? Let me continue. Okay, but what about writing skills? Because we are interested in writing skills, right? The evidence shows that gamification has a significant impact on the motivation of the students in order to continue writing. So it is very, very effective to use gamification while you are teaching writing skills, especially in our field, which is English language teaching, of course. But in spite of this overwhelming evidence, in Chile we don't have enough studies that focus on the development of writing skills in ELT. It is surprising, isn't it? What do you think? Okay, here we go again. So, considering this lack of studies, we decided to carry out this research in order to narrow a little bit the gap in terms of, in practical terms and also in theoretical terms, right? So now I'm going to show you the methodology that we used regarding the sampling. We recruited 3 participants who are students of the university. They are studying to be a teacher of English, as many of you, I think, right? And the average age is 22 years old, and the 3 female students and 1 male student participate in this study, right? Okay, they had already had gamification in the academic writing subject that they had taken. Regarding the methodology and the data collection, we can see that we use a narrative approach, right? Probably you might be wondering why narrative approach, because in that way we can get rich data from our students. This is why we decided to use narrative approach, right? And we also use semi-structured interviews, right, for the same reason, to get rich data from our participants. The semi-structured interview allows the students to tell their stories. We are very interested in what the students consider in terms of gamification, right? And finally, when we had all the data, we transcribed the data, of course, and then we analyzed the thematically, right? So this was the process of data collection and also methodology. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's continue. But what about the preliminary results? Because we are in the middle, we haven't finished yet, but we found interesting things so far, right? The first thing is motivation and engagement. This is not surprising because, as you know, as I said previously, gamification has a significant impact on motivation. This is not a surprise, all right? The second theme is, which can be a little bit more surprising, is feedback and revision. And the participants reported receiving more frequent and timely feedback on their writing when it was gamified and felt more motivated to revise and improve their work as a result. So this is something very, very important because the students don't have to, I don't know, wait until the teacher has the time to provide feedback, right? They receive feedback immediately. And that has a significant impact on their learning experience as I would say teacher of English, but I would say that they are students of English, right? And then writing skills development, that would be the third theme. Gamification contributed to students' development of writing skills, such as grammar, vocabulary, and organization, all right? But I'm gonna show you now what the students say about these themes, right? For example, regarding motivation and engagement, one of the students, one of the participants said, I used to feel extremely anxious. I think that probably most teachers are probably picturing what they do in the classroom, right? I used to feel extremely anxious about writing assignments, but when the work turned into a game, it felt like a challenge and I wanted to take it on, right? So it was really motivating for them. Another participant reported, the game elements made writing more fun and enjoyable, and I was more willing to put in the effort to do it well, right? So can you see that it is really important to use gamification in order to enhance motivation, especially in writing, in the development of writing skills, right? Regarding the second theme, which was feedback and what was it? Oh, I forgot the first one. Sorry? And revision, right? Sorry. In the game, I would get feedback on my writing right away, and it was really helpful to know what I was doing well and what I needed to improve, something which is important, right? And another participant mentioned this, because the game gave me the points for revising my work, I was more willing to take the time to make changes and try to improve my score, right? Okay, let's move on then to the next theme, the development of writing skills. Here, there is something very interesting, because you will see that probably language acquisition is here, okay? We haven't really mentioned this, but we are suspecting that there is something related to language acquisition, which is the main aim of a teacher of English, right, with their students. Gamification has helped me to improve my vocabulary and grammar, all right? At the beginning, I thought that I didn't learn. This is where probably language acquisition was taking place, all right? But when I had to take a test, I remembered everything, all right? Surprising, right? Wasn't it? And another participant said the following: gamification has helped me to organize and focus on the writing tasks. I improved my skills. I think that gamification helps students to internalize new information beyond memorizing it just because they are going to take a test. They internalize it and it stays there. So I'm quite sure that in one way or another, language acquisition is taking place there, right? Let's continue. There are some challenges and limitations that we have to admit, all right? One of the limitations is the sample size. Let's remember that we recruited just four participants, so probably the results or the findings will not be generalizable to a wider population, right? Probably this result is going to be just valid for that group of students, right? And another problem, or not problem, limitation, I would say, is that as we use a narrative methodology, probably the interpretations that we gave to the data, right, are in one way or another affected by our own convictions as teachers and researchers as well. And finally, the scope, we only focus on writing skills, but other skills, for example, speaking and listening, were not considered for this piece of research, right? Okay, the implications and recommendations. The findings suggest that gamification can be a valuable tool, right, for increasing the students' interest in academic writing. This is something that it is clear, right? But as my colleague said before, gamification in itself is not actually a panacea, right? It is not a magic wand. It helps, but the teacher has to play his or her role actively. So the teacher has to provide feedback and provide opportunities to practice, right? So the teacher has a key role there. And for future research, we suggest exploring the use of gamification in other areas of ELT and expand the scope of the existing research, all right? And now, I'm gonna share with you the references. And I don't know whether you have any questions. We are willing to answer questions. And thank you very much. I will invite my colleague.
Hello. Yep.
Have we got any questions? All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, it was a very interesting participation, but maybe I misunderstood some details, because you were showing some daily mission tickets on paper. Were you using a platform for this kind of activity?
Yeah, they were like actually cut out from the presentation slide that I used for the lesson. So what you see here is part of the slide that I used. So it wasn't a paper sheet. It was part of the slide that I used. So what I did was that I included in the, let's say, third or second slide from my presentation in the class, I included the objective first. And then, right after that, I included daily missions with 3 or 4 daily missions per day. That's it. So in here, I use this. First, the objective. We're going to describe... We're going to create arguments for defending abortion, for example. All right? And after that, I included daily missions with, let's say, first, we're going to speak only English during the day. Then I want you to write at least 3 sentences, and finally I want you to blah, blah, blah. Okay? That's what I did. Okay? This is not a paper thing. It was part of the presentation.
Okay, so it was, but it's not a platform.
No. It's just PowerPoint. It's
Okay.
just that.
Okay, then.
Okay.
So 2 more questions.
Yeah,
sorry.
please.
Why only 4 participants, and how do you see this working with a 30-plus students classroom?
I'm going to answer the first one first. We included only 4 because we were starting the research, okay? We had many data to collect because this has been applied to not only writing courses, but also linguistic courses. It was applied to grammar courses. I applied it to an adult school night program that I had. So it's been applied in many different in many different contexts. So we decided to use it only in the writing course, and we started with 4 students because we wanted specific students with specific characteristics. Some of them were gamers, okay, like old-time gamers. And 2 of them, they haven't played the game at all. So we decided with 2 and 2 to see how the preliminary results turned out. So that's why you see only 4. But the idea is to expand this research. Okay, we haven't finished it yet. That's the point. Okay, and what was the second question? Sorry.
It's just because in many of the comments they reported, you mentioned that they said that they received feedback many times and more often. And so if this is not a platform and you have to do it yourself, how do you see this going or working on a 30-plus classroom?
That's very, very interesting. And my answer is I try to encourage autonomy. The missions were there so that students can know what they have to do. Okay, so as I told you, what you see here, it's only a small amount of the missions that I gave to my students during the class. So they knew that they had to create, for example, topic sentences and 3 or 4 supporting sentences and include 1 concluding sentence in the paragraph, so they could check whether what they're doing was correct or not. Okay, so they received immediate feedback in the sense that they could check what they were doing. Actually, if you take a look at, for example, Longman textbooks, you're going to find at the end of the book, you're going to find that they have actually checklists to see your progress. You can turn that into missions, okay? And if you do that, your students are going to receive immediate feedback from themselves. But the thing is that you have to teach that first, because your students are not going to do that by themselves if you don't teach them to do that. That's our job as teachers. That's it. Did I answer?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Another question?
Can I
Another
add
question?
something
Yes.
meanwhile? Sorry? Can I add something meanwhile? I'm referring to the number of students, just 4. You know that in this type of studies, the number of students is always, I would say, a few students, yes? Because we want to get rich information, right? Because this is most significant for us. It is not a quantitative study because you need a larger number of students or participants in order to generalize the results. In our case, we're not interested in generalizing the studies, but we want to know from the students themselves what it means for them to participate in a class which has been, I would say, gamified, right? This is one of the main reasons why we use so far for students. All right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Marcela.
Yes. First of all, thank you for your presentation. It's very interesting. As teacher, I think it gives us really good ideas to implement in the class. That's the idea, to bring more ideas. And my question is, first of all, these examples you were giving, for me, I think it was more aimed for young learners. But the investigation was carried out with 22 years old students in a major. So the first question is, do you have an example of what activities you use with the 22 years old students? And the second one, when you apply this into a classroom of young learners, how do you take out the competitiveness of the classroom? You know that kids are like, oh, I have this amount of stickers or this, and you have none. So how will you suggest to take out that part of the competition in classroom?
Thank you very much for your question. Yes, actually, I think that the purpose of this research, among many things, is to encourage the use of a game-based approach for teaching. Okay. Now, regarding the first question, I can just to my mind, I remember an exercise that we did in writing course in the preparation of an argumentative essay. The activity that we did was that we played a little game called the Werewolf. Do you know it? Yeah. Does any of you know it? Don't worry, because have you played Among Us? Yes. Yes, of course you have. Among Us is a hidden role game. Okay. The idea is that some of you are evil, say evil, and the others are not, and you have to discover the ones that are evil. In class, we were teaching arguments and counter-arguments, and we played that game in order to, if you accuse someone, you have to give an argument, and the one that's that's accused, he has to use counter-arguments to defend himself. All right, that's an idea. I mean, there are plenty of activities that we have with the gamified approach.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the thing is that we have to keep in mind that you need to find games or ideas of a game that are aligned with the age and the motivation of the class.
Yes, that's it. I think the second thing you said is more appropriate. You have to find things or games or activities that are aligned with the type of motivation that your students have. Because if your students are not curious all the time, or they're very shy or too shy, that type of activity is not going to work. Okay. So the first thing is to make a little research in your class to see what's the most common type of motivation among your students. And that's it. What was your second question, sorry?
How you take out the part of the competition in classroom?
Competition is a game mechanic. You can add it, or you can. It's not necessary that you add it. In my lessons, most of the times we work on a collaborative basis. If one student unlocks all the missions or completes all the missions, the reward is shown to everyone. Okay, so we're not really competing to achieve the goal, but we're collaborating in order to do it. Okay, but if you want to add a little competence in your class, that's not bad. I mean, as long as it's not aggressive and it's not too violent, that's fine. All right.
Thank you so much.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Sebastián and Victor. Thank you very much for this interesting presentation.